All right, this is part 2 of preparing your materials. So I folded all of my folios. I think technically that would be folia, but we're gonna go with folios. I have my template, which is less important for this particular step. And I've also cut down 2 large pieces of what is actually a grocery bag, but is in this case lovely brown recycled paper. The way I measured the size to cut these down, and can I turn it like this so it fits? Yes, I can. The way I decided what size to cut this down is I took my template, or I can just take one of the pieces of paper that I've cut down. Take this out of the way so you can see a little closer. And I measured, this isn't 100% square, but that's okay. I measured its size. I left a little tiny bit of room on either side of it. I'll adjust this later, but I've got just like a fingernail's width larger, since this is gonna be my cover. And then I've got an extra, 2 inches or so beyond the size of my sheet of paper. Now the reason I did that is because I'm going to fold this over, and I need an extra tail that I can use to bind it within my folios. So I want to make sure that this is about as square as I can make it. I did not make this perfectly square, but that's okay. And come in, tighten that crease. I'm going to decide which part I want on the front, and actually I'm okay with this crease being on the front of my paper. So if my book is opening this way, I want the fold to be on my exterior. I'll flip this over. And what I'll do is I'll line this up. I want probably like a 1/16 to an 1/18 of an inch overhang between that fold I just showed you and the way my book pages open. And then I'm gonna take this open part of my cover and I'm gonna wrap it around my folios. And so it's gonna become essentially part of my folio. And then this way, once I start sewing through my spine, I'll actually also sew through my brown paper, and it'll become attached, and I'll have a relatively durable exterior with a slightly less durable interior. So I know this is the front. I actually kind of like this recycled look to have this extra fold here. And I'm going to make sure I go through my folios and keep them all lined up. I know this seems like a very type A thing to do, but it's gonna help you if you just always make sure that things go in the same order as you flip them. And I will do the same thing, but have the cover on the exterior for my final folio. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. Again, I have my long sheet of paper. I'm going to, let's see, what do I want to have on the exterior? Doesn't really matter. This part of the brown paper bag got a little bit more beat up, I guess, but that's okay. Oh no. So I'm running into a weird thing that I did not foresee, where there's actually a seam. Right, recycled paper brings all of its own challenges. So what I'll probably do in between this video and the next one is actually come in with a glue stick and glue this down, because I don't I don't want that figuring prominently in my book. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna try not to worry about it. I try not to let that confuse you. So make my crease sharp. Now, remember, I've flipped everything over. I have my front, I have all the folios. I've got my other folio here. Now, since I want this to be on the exterior, I'm going to make sure to put it under this folio. And I want a little, I'm gonna try to make this even to what I did with the last one. I want a little bit of room. So there's a little overhang here. Remember, my book opens this way. And then I'm going to wrap this. This is a folded edge. I'm going to wrap this around this way. Come in, make my crease nice and pretty. Right, I'm always making sure that my folio is snug within this fold. And then I can put this back into the stack. You guys will see I've got 2 covers. I've got my 3 folios on the inside, and the folds to the covers line up with the pages of my book. Now, if I, let's see, so I'm taking a look at this and I tapped it down to the bottom. Everything's even on the bottom. Now I'm looking at this and I did not do a very good job measuring out my covers. There's this like fringy area that I didn't cut very well. This is kind of rough right here. I seem to have left quite the overhang. I can handle this 2 different ways. The first would be that I can come in and, you know, use a pair of scissors. Excuse me, I just bumped the camera. Use a pair of scissors and kind of just tidy this up a little bit. Just give it a little haircut. And call that good to go. But as I bind, I can realign my interior and leave a little overhang both on the top and on the bottom, which is 100% fair game. So I'll put these back so you know what it looks like. Now, of course, the problem with this is that then I always have to be aware that my cover is not actually the inside dimensions, right? It's a little bit, it's overhanging a little bit. Or if I like to shake the book down a bit, what I can actually do is just come in, and I'm gonna use the bottom cover because it's easiest to see. Make sure everything's lined up, make sure that folio is nice and tidy in there. And if I take a pencil or something else very erasable, and I draw my line, take my folio out, I can come in with my ruler, measure twice, cut once. Just slice off that extra. And then I end up with a folio that fits, aligns, you know, more or less perfectly with the edges. And so I'll go ahead and do that on the cover as well in between videos. With something like that, it is really important that you use a ruler and a blade. The ruler and blade will always allow you to cut a straighter line than scissors will. Because of the way scissors shear things against each other, pretty much no matter what you do, you'll end up with something that's out of square. I'm not saying it's impossible, but pretty much everything you do will take it out of square. So books are usually rectangular or have square edges, so do your best to try to keep them that way. So I did that on that one. Remember, I'm trying to keep my books lined up, or my folios lined up, and I will trim this extra bit off of the cover before the next video. So hopefully that's a good intro to the cover and what you need to do to prepare for starting to actually bind the book.